Hi, I'm Kaki King, and this lesson I'm just going to talk a little bit about songwriting and how when people they talk about songs and they talk about tunes. This to me is sort of not super important, but songs technically are things that are sung, and so in terms of songwriting as opposed to just writing instrumentals. I'm just, there's a tendency to kind of we've all kind of learned our open chords, and then we've gotten our power chords, and maybe we've gotten some interesting chords down. But there's definitely, I think, a tendency to simplify the guitar part, because the singing and the songwriting is what you really want to be doing. Now, there's nothing wrong with that, but I do think that there's a tendency to become a little bit more daunted by the idea of having to fingerpick or having to play something that's a little more complicated and sing at the same time. Now, a lot of times this can just really ruin a song if you're doing too much at once, that's why I myself personally remain an instrumentalist for my first two albums, just because I just, what I was doing guitar-wise seemed to carry itself. But I'm gonna just play a little excerpt from a song that I wrote on an album called Junior, and it's really pretty simple, but it's just not, and it's not that I'm playing anything that are complicated chords or things that are going outside the box. It's that I'm just doing something that you might not typically think about doing as a songwriter. And I think if you're interested in this concept, you might look to people like Elliott Smith or Nick Drake or Mark Kozelek, who did the Red House Painters for a while and does Sun Kil Moon now, or Jeff Buckley, because they were all great guitar players playing great guitar that complemented everything they were doing vocally. But this is also just a fun little thing to learn if you just want to have like a riff to play. So here we go. I want to also add something kind of practical that I had forgotten about. For a long time, I wore contact lenses, and then I started to wear glasses because they were just irritating my eyes too much, the contacts. And because of the type of glasses that I was wearing, and it's just the nature of glasses, that your peripheral vision, especially looking down, if you're very blind, and I was very, very blind, becomes, inscrutable. You can't see anything. And so I shunned songwriting and singing because I didn't have that ability to kind of glance down just to make sure I was hitting the right fret. I mean, it was all completely blurry past this kind of corner of my eye. And so if that's something that's affecting you, you might want to think about contacts. You might want to think about what I did, which is get laser surgery on my eyes, which was one of the best things I've done for myself, especially as a guitar player, because now I can be more kind of present with the audience because I'm not constantly, really staring at the guitar. Like, I have more of a relaxed posture. So your vision is something to think about and something to take care of and something to just consider as a musician, songwriter, whatever. It can be small things that inhibit you. So, you know, you can play that little exercise, and if you get the album, you can sing along. And we're just sort of not set up here to do that right now today. But but it really is kind of interesting. You know, people get a little bit afraid of moving around the neck a little too much, especially when they're first learning, if they're songwriting, because they're constantly having to check what they're doing on guitar and then check that their singing is good. And so yeah, definitely don't be afraid of doing that. And I would encourage anyone especially anyone that's starting out as a songwriter, to deliberately, try to make chords that are, if you're trying to do something like, and not look at your hands, and sort of just start to get some intuition as far as, where your hands are supposed to land, especially if you're going from one chord all the way up the neck to something else, or a lick, or whatever it is that you're doing. If you're trying to sing at the same time, it's very helpful to just be able to, to intuit where you're going, get there, play it, and still keep singing as if, it just comes naturally. So that's my take on being a songwriter and guitar player.